Picture this. You're at a barbecue. Your neighbor pulls up in a brand new BMW, steps out looking sharp, mentions casually that he just got back from a weekend in Miami. Everyone at that barbecue quietly assumes that guy has money. He does not have money. His BMW payment is $780 a month. His savings account has $340 in it. The Miami trip went on a credit card he's been carrying a balance on since 2021. And the reason he mentioned Miami within the first 4 minutes of arriving is because the image requires constant maintenance. And today, I am breaking down exactly 15 specific signs that reveal who is actually broke behind the appearance, starting with the one sign that shows up in almost every parking lot in America. But before we get into sign 1, I want to be upfront with you about something. By the end of this video, you are going to see at least one person you know in these signs, maybe a colleague, maybe a family member, maybe, and I say this with complete respect, yourself. And that recognition is the most valuable thing this video can give you. Here is what the data actually shows about where we are right now. Americans currently owe $1.28 trillion in credit card debt, according to the Federal Reserve. The average household carries over $100,000 in total debt. Yet luxury vehicle sales hit record highs in 2023. Designer brand revenue grew 8% globally, according to Bain & Company. Influencer culture has industrialized the performance of wealth. And somewhere in the middle of all of it, a massive number of people have mastered the appearance of success while systematically destroying any chance of building actual success. They look rich from the outside, they are broke on the inside. And stay with me until sign 7, because that one sign alone explains why 39% of people are going into actual debt, not to pay bills, but to fund a lifestyle performance for strangers on the internet. That number is going to make you genuinely angry. Real wealth whispers, fake wealth screams. Once you know what to listen for, you'll hear it everywhere. Let's get into it. Sign number 1. Their car payment is larger than their monthly investment contribution. This is the single most common financial red flag, hiding in plain sight, and almost nobody talks about it directly. The average new car payment in America hit $735 per month in 2024, according to Experian. The average American invests less than $200 per month, according to the Federal Reserve Survey of Consumer Finances. Let that sink in. $735 flowing towards something losing value every single day, $200 flowing towards something building value every single day. According to Carfax, new vehicles lose roughly 20% of their value in the first year alone. So the person making that $735 payment is paying premium money every single month for an asset worth less than it was yesterday, while simultaneously building almost nothing on the other side. Here is a rule that cuts through every financial justification. If your car payment is larger than your monthly investment, your priorities are mathematically working against you. Think about your neighbor with the BMW. $780 a month flowing toward a car, $0 flowing toward investments. After 10 years, the car is worth $8,000 if he's lucky. The $780 invested at 8% for 10 years would have been $143,000. The difference between those two outcomes is one decision, made once, that compounds for a decade. Sign number 2. They lease and never own. Picture the person at work who always seems to be driving something new. Every 3 years, fresh vehicle, latest model, latest features, new car smell. They mention it casually, act like it's just what they do. What they never mention is that they're stuck in one of the most expensive financial loops ever designed. When you lease, you pay for the steepest depreciation years of a vehicle's life and then hand it back. A $55,000 car worth $33,000 after 3 years means you essentially financed $22,000 of pure depreciation, plus interest, taxes, and fees. Then you return it and start again. Lease, return, lease, return. Perpetual payments. Zero equity. Ever. According to Consumer Reports, the lifetime cost of continuous leasing versus buying and holding is typically 40 to 60% higher over a 10-year period. 40 to 60% more money spent for the privilege of never owning anything. Someone who leases continuously for 20 years has made hundreds of thousands of dollars in payments and owns absolutely nothing at the end of it. The appearance of driving a new luxury vehicle every 3 years looks successful. The financial reality underneath is quietly catastrophic. Sign number 3. Their home is the maximum the bank would approve, not what they can comfortably afford. You know this house. Maybe you've been to a dinner party there. Beautiful neighborhood, stunning kitchen, immaculate landscaping. And the host seems slightly stressed in a way they can't quite hide. There is a critical difference between what a bank will lend you and what you can actually afford without financial stress. Banks qualify borrowers on debt-to-income ratios, allowing up to 43% of gross income toward debt. 43 cents of every pre-tax dollar going toward debt. That leaves almost nothing for saving, investing, emergencies, or actually living. And here's the statistic that stopped me completely when I first read it. According to a 2023 Bankrate survey, 64% of homeowners describe themselves as house poor. 64%. Nearly 2/3 of homeowners are stretched so thin by their mortgage that everything else suffers. The house impresses everyone who drives past it. The savings account behind it tells a completely different story. The actually wealthy apply a different rule. They buy well below what they qualify for and invest the difference. The house is a home, not a performance. Sign number 4. They talk about money constantly, always in future tense. You know this person. Every conversation somehow loops back to finances, and it's always about what's coming, never about what's already there. I've got a deal closing next month that's going to be huge. Once this investment pays off, everything changes. I'm working on something that's going to be massive. Always about to, never already done. Here's why. The present doesn't match the image being projected. Real money already in the account doesn't need to be announced. It exists whether or not anyone hears about it. Projected money, money that may never arrive, needs constant verbal reinforcement. Because without saying it out loud, the gap between image and reality becomes impossible to ignore. Watch for the specific version of this where someone confuses revenue with profit. Someone proudly announces their business did $500,000 last year. What they don't mention is that after expenses, their actual take-home was $46,000. The number sounds wealthy. The reality is modest. According to research from the University of California, people who frequently discuss future financial achievements with others are significantly less likely to follow through on the actual behaviors required to achieve them. The announcement substitutes for the action. The talking replaces the doing. Real money is quiet. It doesn't need an audience. Sign number 5. Their designer items cost more than their emergency fund. According to the Federal Reserve's 2023 report on the economic well-being of U.S. households, 37% of Americans could not cover a $400 unexpected expense with cash. 37%. Yet the global luxury goods market exceeded $380 billion in 2023, according to Statista. These two numbers exist in the same economy, simultaneously. People carrying $3,000 handbags with $600 in savings. People wearing $500 sneakers with no emergency fund at all. Here is the scenario that plays out constantly. Someone saves for 3 months to buy a designer item. They post it, get the validation, feel the rush. 2 weeks later, their car needs $800 in repairs, and that repair goes on a credit card because every dollar they had went toward the bag. Now they're paying interest on a car repair while carrying a depreciating fashion item that impressed strangers for approximately 4 seconds. That is not a trade actually wealthy people make. Those first 5 signs are visible. You can see them if you know what to look for. But here is where it gets really uncomfortable. The next 5 signs are ones most people would never admit to themselves because they are not about what someone buys. They're about how someone thinks, and that is much harder to see and much harder to change. Sign number 6. They are one unexpected expense away from a complete financial crisis. This sign is completely invisible until something goes wrong, and something always goes wrong. The transmission fails. The medical bill arrives that insurance didn't fully cover. The roof starts leaking in November. The company announces layoffs on a Tuesday afternoon. For the actually wealthy, these are inconveniences. Annoying, expensive, handled within a week, forgotten within a month. For the person who looks wealthy but isn't, these identical events are full financial emergencies. Credit cards come out. Payment plans get negotiated. Sleep gets lost for weeks. Relationships strain under the pressure. The difference is not income. The difference is preparation. According to a 2023 Bankrate survey, only 44% of Americans could cover a $1,000 emergency from savings alone. 56% of Americans, more than half the country, are one moderately sized unexpected bill away from genuine financial chaos. The person presenting wealth at work on Monday may be in real financial crisis by Friday because something broke that their savings account simply could not absorb. Wealthy people do not look wealthy in emergencies. They just handle them, quietly, without anyone knowing. Sign number 7. Their social media is a financial performance with a monthly budget. Here's the part nobody says out loud. For a significant number of people, social media content is not a byproduct of their lifestyle. It is the reason for their lifestyle. The vacation was not booked for the experience. It was booked for the content. The restaurant was not chosen for the food. It was chosen for the aesthetic. The outfit was not purchased for the occasion. It was purchased for the post. And here's the number I told you about at the start, the one that is going to make you genuinely angry. According to a 2023 study by Credit Karma, 39% of millennials and Gen Z respondents admitted to going into debt to fund experiences or purchases specifically to share on social media. 39%. Nearly 4 in 10 people taking on actual debt to fund a performance of prosperity for strangers on the internet. Let that land for a moment. Not debt to pay rent, not debt to cover a medical bill, debt to look wealthy on a screen to people they will never meet. The algorithm makes this worse. A video titled, "I spent $3,000 at the mall," outperforms "I transferred $3,000 to my investment account" by orders of magnitude. So the incentive is clear. Spending generates attention. Building generates nothing, at least nothing anyone can see. And for people whose self-worth is tied to external validation, the financial consequences are devastating. Every dollar spent performing prosperity is a dollar not building it. Sign number 8. They upgrade everything the moment they can afford the monthly payment. Now, this next sign is the one most people will never admit applies to them, but I promise you, it applies to almost everyone watching this at some level. This is the monthly payment trap, and it is one of the most sophisticated mechanisms ever designed for keeping people financially stuck. Here's how it works. The car is not $55,000, it's $735 a month. The sofa is not $3,200, it's $89 for 48 months. The watch is not $4,500, it's $150 a month. Each individual payment sounds manageable, almost trivial, but add them together, the car, the furniture, the jewelry, the phone plan, the appliances, and suddenly 1,400 or more of every paycheck is committed to monthly payments on things all simultaneously depreciating. Here's the number that reframes every purchase permanently. A $30,000 purchase today, assuming an 8% average annual return you're foregoing, represents approximately $139,000 in 20 years. That's the actual price tag, not the sticker price, not the monthly amount. $139,000 in foregone wealth. According to Dalbar's quantitative analysis of investor behavior, the average retail investor who tries to time purchases and optimize spending consistently underperforms the person who simply automates and ignores. The fake rich ask, "Can I afford the monthly payment?" The actually rich ask, "What is this actually costing me in 20 years?" Those two questions lead to completely different lives. Sign number 9. They have no idea what their actual net worth is. I want you to pause for just 1 second right now. Do you know your net worth? Not your salary, not what's in your checking account, your actual net worth. What you own minus what you owe, assets minus liabilities, that single number. If you hesitated even slightly, this sign is for you. Ask most people what they earn. They know immediately, to the dollar. Ask those same people what they own minus what they owe, and watch the discomfort. Shifting eyes, a vague number, a qualifying statement about how it's complicated right now. According to a 2023 survey by Northwestern Mutual, only 33% of Americans regularly track their net worth. The remaining 67% are navigating their financial life without knowing their actual financial position. Imagine driving across the country with no GPS, no map, and no idea where you currently are. That is what managing money without tracking net worth looks like. The person presenting wealth at work on Monday may be in real financial crisis by Friday because something broke that their savings account simply could not absorb. Wealthy people do not look wealthy in emergencies. They just handle them, quietly, without anyone knowing. Sign number 10. They celebrate income milestones but never build assets. You've definitely seen this one. Someone gets a raise, a significant one, and within 3 months, their lifestyle has quietly inflated to consume every additional dollar. The apartment upgraded, the car upgraded, the dining upgraded, the wardrobe upgraded. The raise is real. The wealth building from it is zero. Economists call this lifestyle creep, and according to a 2023 survey by Salary Finance, 36% of workers earning $100,000 a year live paycheck to paycheck. 36% of six-figure earners, paycheck to paycheck. The income is genuinely impressive. The wealth is not, because income without a rising savings rate is just a faster treadmill. You earn more, you spend more, and 10 years later, the salary is significantly higher and the net worth is almost identical to where it started. The actually wealthy treat every raise the same way. A percentage goes immediately to investments before lifestyle has a chance to absorb it. The lifestyle stays flat, the wealth builds, quietly, without anyone noticing. We're now into the final 5 signs, and these are the ones that separate people who eventually build real wealth from people who spend their entire lives looking like they already have it. The first 10 signs are mostly about spending habits. These last 5 are about something deeper, identity. And identity is the hardest thing to change and the most important. Sign number 11. They promote get-rich-quick opportunities with unshakable confidence. You know this person. 6 months ago, it was crypto day trading. Before that, it was dropshipping. Before that, it was a Forex system. Right now, it's options trading or some multi-level opportunity or a course that promises to change everything. They talk about it constantly, project massive confidence, try to pull everyone they know into it, and then, quietly, it doesn't work. They lose money, but they never mention that part. They're already moved on to the next opportunity, equally confident, equally vocal, a trail of failed ventures they never acknowledge, because acknowledging them would shatter the identity they've built. Here's the data. According to the North American Securities Administration Association, more than 70% of retail investors who attempt active short-term trading strategies lose money over a 5-year period. More than 70%. And according to Dalbar research, the average actively managed investor underperforms a basic S&P 500 index fund by approximately 1.5 to 3% annually over a decade. Real wealth is built slowly, consistently, boringly, over decades. But slow and boring does not match the fake rich identity. They need something dramatic happening, even if that something only ever exists in their projections. Sign number 12. They one-up every financial conversation without exception. Dinner table. You mention you paid off your car. Before the words are fully out, they mention they bought it outright in cash. You share that you got a promotion. They reference an income number that makes your promotion sound modest. You talk about a vacation you're planning. They explain why the destination you chose is actually the tourist version. Every conversation. Every time. Without exception. Here is the psychology underneath this behavior, and it is important to understand it because it explains a lot. One-upping is not confidence. It is insecurity in an expensive costume. Someone genuinely secure in their financial position can celebrate your wins without feeling diminished by them. They don't need to redirect every conversation because their self-worth is not dependent on being superior in every exchange. Research from the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found that chronic one-upmanship is most prevalent among individuals with high social comparison orientation. Real wealth allows someone to be genuinely happy for others. Fake wealth requires constant comparison and conquest. Sign number 13. Their entire identity is built around looking wealthy rather than being wealthy. Every item is a statement. Every outfit is a broadcast. Too many visible logos. Too much jewelry. A walking advertisement for luxury brands rather than a person who simply happens to own some nice things. Warren Buffett has lived in the same Omaha house since 1958. He paid $31,500 for it. He is worth approximately $130 billion. Mark Zuckerberg famously cycles through the same plain gray t-shirt. According to a 2022 Wealth X report, ultra-high net worth individuals, those with assets over $30 million, spend a significantly lower percentage of income on visible luxury goods than aspirational middle-class consumers. The people with the most display it the least because they have nothing to prove. Their identity is not tied to what strangers think of their appearance. The fake rich operate from the exact opposite psychology. They feel they have everything to prove, so every item becomes evidence. Every purchase becomes a statement. The louder the display, the more desperate the attempt. Actual wealth tends to be understated because it doesn't need to try. Sign number 14. They give unsolicited financial advice that always validates their own choices. This one is subtle, but once you hear it, you cannot unhear it. You mention you drive a reliable used car. They question why you haven't upgraded. You're saving aggressively in a high-yield account. They tell you that money should be working harder. The advice is always unsolicited, always points towards whatever choices they have made, and is never actually calibrated to your situation. Here is what is actually happening beneath the surface. Your different approach threatens their narrative. If you are building wealth with a modest car, aggressive savings, and a reasonable apartment, it implicitly questions why they chose the expensive lease, minimal savings, and stretched mortgage. Sign number 15. They optimize every financial decision for how it looks, not how it works. This is the deepest sign, and it ties every other sign on this list together. Every financial decision the fake rich make passes through one filter. Will this impress people? Will this signal success? Will this make me appear wealthy? The car is chosen for the badge, not the value. The home is chosen for the address, not the affordability. The restaurant is chosen for the post, not the food. According to research from the National Bureau of Economic Research, households that prioritize conspicuous consumption, spending visibly on status goods, have measurably lower savings rates, lower net worth, and lower financial resilience, controlling for income level. Meaning two households with identical incomes, where one optimizes for appearance and one optimizes for wealth building, end up in dramatically different financial positions, not because of luck, not because of opportunity, but because of the filter through which every decision was made. The actually wealthy run every decision through a completely different filter. Does this move me towards financial freedom? Does this make sense given my actual goals? One filter builds wealth, the other bleeds it. Every single day, for decades. Here is what I want to leave you with. These 15 signs are not a judgment. They are a mirror. The most important question after watching this is not who do I know that does this. The most important question is, do I do any of this? For years, sometimes decades, they look completely ordinary. Modest car, reasonable home, unremarkable outfits. Nothing to signal, nothing to perform, nothing to prove. And then one day, without announcement, they have options most people only pretend to have. The freedom to walk away from the job that drains them, not the watch, not the car, not the followers, the freedom. And it is available to anyone willing to stop optimizing for how things look and start optimizing for how things actually work. Real wealth whispers. Start listening. If this gave you a new way of thinking about money, subscribe to Decoded. Every day, no fluff, no filler, just the real mechanics of how money actually works, backed by data, not opinions. I'll see you in the next one.